They say, love makes you blind. But betrayal? Betrayal opens your eyes in the most painful way possible. My name is Marcus, and this is the story of how the woman I almost married tried to trap me with a lie so big, could have destroyed my entire life. But here's the twist. She had no idea I was 10 steps ahead of her the whole time. It started on a Tuesday evening. I remember because Tuesdays were our date nights. Sarah and I had been together for 2 years. She was beautiful, charming, and everyone loved her. My parents adored her. My friends thought I'd won the lottery. Even I believed we were building something real, something that would last forever. But that Tuesday, everything changed. I came home early from work. I'd left my laptop at the apartment and needed it for a presentation the next morning. When I walked through the door, I heard Sarah on the phone in the bedroom. Her voice was hushed, almost secretive. Something in my gut twisted. You know that feeling when something just doesn't sit right? That's what I felt. I didn't announce myself. I just stood there in the hallway listening. "I'm telling you, Mom, this is going to work," Sarah said. Her tone completely different from the sweet voice she always used with me. "He's so in love with me, he won't even question it. Once I tell him I'm pregnant, he'll marry me immediately. His family has money, and I'll finally be set for life." My blood ran cold. Did I just hear that correctly? Was she talking about me? About trapping me with a fake pregnancy? "I already bought the positive test online," she continued, laughing. "It looks completely real. Some girl actually peed on it. Can you believe people sell these things? Anyway, I'll show it to him this weekend. By next month, we'll be engaged, and by the time he figures out there's no baby, it'll be too late. We'll already be married." I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. This woman, the woman I'd planned to propose to, was plotting to manipulate me into marriage with a fake pregnancy. I backed away silently, grabbed my laptop from the living room table, and left the apartment without making a sound. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, just staring at the steering wheel, trying to process what I'd just heard. Part of me wanted to storm back in there and confront her immediately. But another part of me, the smarter part, knew that wouldn't work. If I confronted her now, she'd just deny everything. She'd twist it around, make me look paranoid, maybe even cry and play the victim. No, I needed proof. I needed a plan. That night I didn't sleep. I lay in bed next to her, watching her sleep peacefully, completely unaware that I knew her secret. She had no idea that her entire plan was about to blow up in her face. Over the next few days, I acted as if everything was completely normal. I smiled at her jokes, kissed her goodbye in the mornings, and texted her sweet messages during the day. But inside, I was building a strategy. I wasn't just going to expose I was going to make sure she could never do this to anyone else again. I started documenting everything. I set up a small recording device in our apartment, completely legal in our state as long as one party consents. And I was that party. I needed her torpedoed. I needed undeniable proof, and then Friday came. The day she'd planned to drop the bomb asterisk that Friday evening. Sarah cooked my favorite meal steak with garlic butter and roasted vegetables. She was extra affectionate, touching my arm constantly, laughing at everything I said. She was setting the mood, playing her part perfectly. After dinner, we sat on the couch. She cuddled up next to me, and I could feel her nervousness. This was it. This was the moment she'd been planning. "Marcus," she said softly, her voice trembling slightly, "I need to talk to you about something important." I turned to her, putting on my best concerned face. "What's wrong, babe? You okay?" She took a deep breath, and I swear I could see her mentally preparing her performance. Then she looked at me with those big eyes, the ones that used to make my heart melt, and said the words I'd been waiting for. "I'm pregnant." She pulled out a pregnancy test from her pocket and handed it to me. 2 pink lines, positive. I looked at the test, then at her, and for a moment, I almost felt bad for what was about to happen to her. "Almost? Are you serious?" I said, letting my voice crack just a little, playing my own part now. "Sarah, this is huge." "I know," she said, tears forming in her eyes. Fake tears, I now realized. "I'm scared, Marcus. But I love you, and I know we can do this together. She was good. I had to give her that. If I hadn't overheard her phone conversation, I might have actually believed her. How far along are you? I asked, keeping my voice steady. About 6 weeks, she said quickly. I took the test this morning. 6 weeks. She'd done her homework. That was right around the time frame where morning sickness might start, where it would still be too early for a visible bump, where everything would seem believable. You should go to the doctor, I said calmly. Get it confirmed. Make sure everything's okay with you and the baby. For just a second, just a fraction of a second, I saw panic flash across her face. But she recovered quickly. Of course, she said, nodding. I'll make an appointment. Actually, I said, pulling out my phone. Let me call my doctor right now. He's a family friend. I'm sure he can get us in tomorrow morning. Now the panic was more obvious. Tomorrow? Marcus, that's so fast. Maybe we should wait a week or two? Wait, I interrupted, standing up. Sarah, you just told me you're carrying my child? I want to make sure you're both healthy. What's wrong with going tomorrow? She bit her lip. Nothing, I thought we'd have time to process this first. You can process while making sure you're okay, I said firmly. I'm calling Dr. Richardson right now. I pulled up my phone and pretended to dial. I wasn't actually calling anyone, but I needed to see how far she'd take this lie. Marcus, wait, she said, grabbing my arm. Maybe we should talk about this first. About what we want to do? There it was. The cracks in her story were already showing. What do you mean, what we want to do? I asked, narrowing my eyes. Sarah, are you suggesting no? She said quickly. No, of course not. I just mean, this is a big decision. We should make sure we're ready. I sat back down, setting my phone aside. Sarah, are you really pregnant? Her eyes went wide. What? Of course I am. Why would you ask that? Because you seem awfully nervous about going to a doctor, I said, watching her carefully. I'm not nervous, she insisted, but her voice was shaking now. I'm just ... overwhelmed. I decided to push a little harder. Show me the box the test came from. What? The pregnancy test box, I said. Show it to me. I threw it away, she said quickly. In the trash here? No, at work. I took it at work. Oh. I nodded slowly. But you just said you took it this morning. Here. At home. Her face went pale. She'd contradicted herself, and she knew it. I meant. I took another one this morning, she stammered. To confirm the one from yesterday, I stood up and walked to the kitchen, opening the trash can. Then this second test box should be in here, right? She didn't answer. I turned back to her. Sarah, I'm going to ask you one more time, and I want you to tell me the truth. Are you really pregnant? Tears were streaming down her face now, but these weren't the fake ones from before. These were tears of panic, of someone watching their plan fall apart. Marcus, please, yes or no. Sarah, are you pregnant? The silence that followed was deafening. Asterisk, she broke down. Not in the way she'd planned, with me comforting her and promising to stand by her. No, she broke down because she knew she'd been caught. I can explain, she sobbed, reaching for me. I stepped back. Explain what? That you tried to trap me with a fake pregnancy? Did you buy a positive test online? That you were planning to manipulate me into marrying you? Her face went white. How did you... I heard you, Sarah, I said coldly. That phone call with your mother? I heard every single word. She looked like she might pass out. Marcus, please, let me explain. It's not what you think, really. I pulled out my phone and played the recording I'd made of her conversation. Her own voice filled the room, clear as day, talking about the fake pregnancy. The test she'd bought, how she was going to trap me. She collapsed onto the couch, her hands covering her face. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I love you, and I was afraid you'd never commit love. I laughed bitterly. You call this love? Sarah, you were going to trap me into a marriage based on a lie? You were going to manipulate me? My family? Everyone who cares about us. That's not love. That's sociopathic. I panicked. She cried, "All my friends are getting married, having babies, and I'm still just a girlfriend. I felt like time was running out, so you thought fraud was the answer." I shook my head. "You know what the worst part is? I was actually planning to propose to you. Next month. I already bought the ring. It's hidden in my office at work." Her head snapped up. "What?" "Yeah," I said, my voice hollow. "I was going to take you to that restaurant where we had our first date. I had the whole thing planned, but now I can't even stand to look at you." She reached for me desperately. "Marcus, please. We can work through this." "I made a mistake, but I love you. Get out," I said quietly. "Get out." My voice was harder now. "This is my apartment. My name on the lease. Pack your things and leave." "Marcus, you can't just—" "I can, and I am," I said. "You have until tomorrow morning. I'm staying at a friend's place tonight. When I come back, I want you gone. And Sarah," I looked her dead in the eyes, "if you ever try to contact me again, if you try to spread lies about me, if you do anything to damage my reputation, I will release this recording to everyone we know. Your family, your friends, your coworkers. Everyone will know exactly what kind of person you are." The color drained from her face completely. She knew I wasn't bluffing. I grabbed my keys and walked out, leaving her sitting there in stunned silence. But here's the thing, I wasn't done. Not even close. Over the next few days, I did some digging. I needed to know if Sarah had done this before, if there were other victims. What I found shocked me even more than the fake pregnancy itself. I contacted her ex-boyfriend, a guy named Jason, who she dated before me. At first, he was suspicious, probably thinking I was just some jealous current boyfriend. But when I explained what had happened, his entire demeanor changed. "She did the same thing to me," he said, his voice tight with old anger. 3 years ago, she told me she was pregnant, pushed me to propose. I did like an idiot. We were engaged for 2 months before I found out there was no baby. She said she'd had a miscarriage, but something didn't add up. By the time I figured out she'd lied, we were already deep into wedding planning. It cost me $30,000 to get out of that relationship and cancel everything. My jaw dropped. "She's done this before?" "Apparently," Jason said. "After we broke up, I found out through mutual friends that she'd tried it with at least one other guy before me too. This is her pattern, man. She targets guys with stable jobs and good families, tries to lock them down with a fake pregnancy, then either milks them for money or actually traps them into marriage. This changed everything. This wasn't just about me and Sarah anymore. This was about protecting other people from becoming her next victim. Would you be willing to go on record about this?" I asked. "Make a statement." There was a pause. Then, absolutely. "If it means stopping her from doing this to someone else, I'll do whatever you need." I contacted the other ex he mentioned, a guy named David. Same story. Fake pregnancy, pressure to get married. Then, a convenient miscarriage after he'd already sunk money into engagement rings and wedding plans. I now had 3 separate accounts of Sarah using the same scam on different men. This was bigger than I thought. I could have just walked away, cut my losses, moved on with my life, and let Sarah continue her pattern with the next unsuspecting guy. But that's not the kind of person I am. If I had the power to stop her, I had the responsibility to do it, so I organized a meeting. I invited Sarah to a coffee shop under the pretense of talking things through and maybe giving us another chance. I knew her well enough to know she'd jump at the opportunity. In her mind, she still thought she could manipulate her way back into my life. What she didn't know was that Jason and David would be there too. And so would her mother, the same woman who'd been coaching her. Through this scheme, when Sarah walked into that coffee shop and saw all of us sitting together at a large table, the look on her face was priceless. Confusion, then recognition, then absolute terror. "Marcus, what is this?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Sit down, Sarah," I said calmly. She looked at Jason and David, both of whom she clearly recognized. Her face went pale. I said, "Sit down." She sat, her hands trembling in her lap. I pulled out my laptop and opened a folder. Sarah, I want to introduce you to some people. This is Jason. You dated him 3 years ago. You told him you were pregnant, got him to propose, then claimed you had a miscarriage after getting thousands of dollars worth of gifts and wedding deposits from him. Jason nodded, his expression cold. And this is David, I continued. You dated him 5 years ago? Same story. Fake pregnancy, engagement, convenient miscarriage, financial loss for him. Sarah's eyes darted between them, panic rising in her face. Asterisk, asterisk in this, I said, gesturing to the woman sitting at the end of the table, is your mother. The woman who helped you plan this entire scheme against me. Sarah's mother, Carola, looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. Now, I said, pulling up the recording on my laptop, I'm going to play something for everyone here. Hit play. Sarah's voice filled the small area where we were sitting. It's talking about the fake pregnancy test, about trapping me, about my family's money. Her mother's voice was there too, encouraging her. It's telling her it would work. When it finished, the silence was crushing. Sarah, I said quietly, you have 2 options. Option 1. I send this recording, along with statements from Jason and David, to your employer, your family, your friends, and anyone else who needs to know what kind of person you really are. I'll also file a police report for fraud and attempted extortion. Her eyes went wide. Marcus, please. Option 2, I continued, cutting her off. You leave this city, you move far away, and you get serious help. Therapy, counseling, whatever you need to figure out why you think this behavior is acceptable. You also sign a legal document admitting to what you did to me, Jason and David, and you agree to pay back the money you took from them. If you do this, I won't release the recording publicly. But if you ever try this again with anyone else, everything goes public. Everything. She was crying now, full-on sobbing. Her mother was crying too, though I had zero sympathy for either of them. You have 48 hours to decide, I said, standing up. Choose wisely. Jason and David stood with me. We all walked out together, leaving Sarah and her mother sitting there in their shame. 2 days later, Sarah signed the document. She agreed to everything. She moved to another state 3 weeks after that. I heard through mutual friends that she actually did start seeing a therapist. Though whether she's genuinely changed or just laying low, I don't know. Jason and David both got their money back. Well, most of it. It took months, but Sarah paid them what she owed. As for me, I took time to heal. I went to therapy myself, working through the trust issues and anger that came from being betrayed by someone I'd loved. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. 6 months after everything went down, I met someone new. Her name is Rachel, and she's everything Sarah pretended to be: kind, honest, and genuine. I was terrified at first, constantly looking for red flags, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But Rachel was patient with me. She understood my hesitation and never pushed. We took things slow, really slow. And you know what? It was exactly what I needed. One night, about a year into our relationship, Rachel asked me about Sarah. I'd told her the basics, but never the full story. So I sat her down and told her everything: the fake pregnancy, the recording, the other victims, all of it. When I finished, Rachel was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that stuck with me. I'm sorry that happened to you, Marcus, but I'm also grateful, in a weird way. Because that experience taught you to protect yourself, to trust your instincts, and to demand honesty from the people you love. Those are qualities I admire about you. She was right. As painful as that experience was, it taught me valuable lessons I'll carry for the rest of my life. First, always trust your gut. That moment when I heard Sarah on the phone and felt something was wrong, that instinct saved me from years of misery. If something feels off in your relationship, don't ignore it. Investigate it. Second, manipulation and lies always come to light eventually. Sarah thought she was clever, thought she could fool me and get away with it. But the truth has a way of surfacing, no matter how well you think you've hidden it. Third, protect yourself. I documented everything, gathered evidence, and built a case. Some people might say that's cold or calculating, but I call it smart. When someone is trying to take advantage of you, you need to be strategic in how you handle it. And finally, some people will never change unless they face real consequences. If I just let Sarah walk away with no repercussions, she would have done the same thing to someone else. By holding her accountable, by making her face the reality of what she'd done, I gave her a chance to actually change. Whether she took that chance or not is up to her, but at least I tried. Looking back now, I don't hate Sarah anymore. I actually feel sorry for her. How empty must your life be that you feel the need to trap someone into loving you? How low must your self-worth be that you can't believe someone would choose you honestly? But my pity doesn't excuse what she did. Actions have consequences, and Sarah faced hers. As for me, I'm happy now. Really happy. Rachel and I just moved in together last month. We're building something real, something based on trust and honesty. And yes, eventually we'll talk about marriage and kids, but when we do, it'll be because we both genuinely want it, not because anyone is trapped or manipulated. Sometimes I think about that version of Marcus, who walked into his apartment on that Tuesday evening, completely unaware that his life was about to change forever. Part of me wishes I could go back and warn him, save him from the pain that was coming. But another part of me knows that experience shaped who I am today, stronger, wiser, more careful about who I trust. So if you're watching this, and you've ever been betrayed by someone you loved, I want you to know something. It's not your fault. You're not stupid for trusting them. You're not weak for believing their lies. You're human. And humans are wired to see the best in the people we care about. But here's what I also want you to know. You deserve better. You deserve someone who chooses you honestly, who loves you without manipulation, who builds a life with you based on truth, not lies. Don't settle for less than that. Ever. And if you're the person doing the manipulating, if you're the one lying, scheming, trying to trap someone, stop. Get help. Figure out why you think this is the only way to get what you want, because I promise you, it's not. Real love, the kind that lasts, can't be built on a foundation of lies. Trust me. I learned that the hard way. This is Marcus, and this was my story. Thanks for listening.